Is it Saab or Saabaroo? That's this week on Motoring 2004.
TSN's Motoring 2004 is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. Oils fine-tuned for different engines. And Midas, Total Car Care. We do that.
When you think of Saab, certain words come to mind. Unique, quirky, turbo, and performance. One word you don't normally associate with this company is profitability. You know, with over 275 nameplates on this planet, Saab has never been able to build enough cars to compete with the big guys. Well, in the late 80s, General Motors bought half the company and the other half in around 2000. The result, Saab now had some extra cash and they built some pretty good cars. But now Saab is going in a completely different direction. It's going down market with its first all-wheel drive vehicle. They're calling it the 92X. And as we're about to see, General Motors has decided that it's time for Saab to broaden its horizon.
Saab is beginning a very exciting journey, not only in Canada, but globally. And I think here in Canada we have a unique opportunity. Saab, as well as GM, has basically said that North America, US and Canada is the growth potential for Saab going forward. And to really address that opportunity, we needed a car both at the lower end of the scale, an entry vehicle, and as well an SUV, because we are the last brand basically missing an SUV. So the 92X is the first car in that new strategy to broaden the Saab product range. We need to broaden our appeal. I think the brand is strong, but the product is missing. So the 92X will bring to us a great opportunity to address the younger audience, 25 to 35-year-olds, that want a sporty, driver-focused vehicle that basically is a blast to drive. The Saab 92X is it's a platform that is taken from Fuji Heavy Industries in Japan. It's built in Ota City. So it's based on the WRX, it's the Subaru, and we've done a lot of changes to the vehicle. So we basically utilized the Boxer engine. We've done a lot of work to the chassis. The design of the vehicle is quite different, both exterior and interior, with a complete new front. So basically, from the front to the A-pillar, the vehicle is completely Saab. It's a naturally aspirated engine, 165 horsepower, and we have the 92X Aero, which is 227 horsepower turbo, supercharged turbo engine, which is a great car to drive. Both handles extremely well on the road, and it's almost like driving a go-kart, I feel. It's, you know, you're stuck on the road, and you can take the curves at any speed you want almost. It's a blast. They come with the 5-speed manual, of course, and automatic transmission as well, 4-speed.
It's really an entry luxury car, if you will. It's a new market, a new segment, and it provides a great opportunity for an enthusiastic driver with a bit of luxury, if you will. And it will be a good opportunity for Saab to see a new market and a new buyer.
I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it would be a Subaru clone, and instead I found it a much more sophisticated version of that car. I found it quieter. I found it had more forgiving tendencies. I liked the exhaust note. I liked the materials inside for the interior, and I liked the redesign of both the front and back ends of it.
What's Saab about Saab is my question. There isn't a single unique Saab platform. I mean, if you put the key right in the center of between the two front seats, does that make a Saab? They've laid off quite a number of engineers at Saab. So again, who's doing the engineering for this? Is this a General Motors company with a Saab badge on it, or is it really Saab? And if it is really Saab, what's Saab about it? What is distinctly Saab? And I think that's the huge challenge. You know, it's not a North American brand, and yet it's being run like it's a North American brand. It's really a very quirky European brand, and I see that as the big challenge for Saab, is to define what it is for this next generation of basically GM platform cars.
They do have to stay alive, broaden, and that's what everybody's doing in the industry as well. They have all these good platforms. They're taking the best of what is available. But yes, they're going in the right direction, I think. They need that broader market, and they need a broader range of products.
I think that common, what we'll call architectures, if you will, are going to be the way of the future. It delivers to the driver and to the brand, and both of those are important in today's market. So without those common global architectures that Saab is starting to use for the very first time, all of this wouldn't be possible.
It fundamentally starts from a good place. The Subaru platform that it comes off is an excellent, excellent product. So that's not a bad thing. But you make a really cool WRX softer, put a kind of a Saab grille on the front. Does that make it a Saab? I'm not sure. As an interim measure, given the financial constraints that all these giant companies are under, probably about the only move they could make. So yeah, I like the car. I think in many ways it does what it needs to do for Saab, and you've got to remember that a lot of these business decisions are driven by the fact that they've got dealers out there and they have to support those franchises, and the only way dealers can make any money is if they got a product. This, as an interim measure, pretty good.
We know that the other premium manufacturers will come with new products as well in that segment, but we're first, and we have a unique opportunity with the all-wheel drive, which no one else has in that segment today. I think the 92X will give us great future.
Is it important to know where to draw that line? Well, maybe not. More later on Kenzie's Corner. It had a very troubled early life, with recall after recall after recall. However, with time came a better car. This week on Test Drive, we take a look at the latest Focus. Rather than being a full-on model change, the 2005 Focus undergoes some nipping and tucking to make it more attractive. The revised body style speaks to the future face of Ford, especially up front, where the new fascia is a dead ringer for the upcoming Ford 500. It also gets some additional insulation, which means a quieter ride. As for the underpinnings, the suspension has been retuned to improve handling. While the ST shares its front McPherson struts and fully independent multi-link rear design with the other models in the lineup, it is 50% stiffer and rides on larger 205/50 R16 tyres. You know, the retuned suspension on this Focus really does have the desired effect. There's much less body roll through a fast corner, there's much less pitch under heavy braking, and because of the larger tyres, the steering has a quicker response to input. The bottom line, the car just feels so much more planted and certainly a lot more agile. Power comes from one of two engines. The base 2-litre engine gets a much-needed 24% hike in horsepower from a meagre 110 to a usable 136. At the same time, tailpipe emissions drop by 32%. However, the biggest improvement is found in the ST model, where a new 150 horsepower 2.3-litre engine now fills the engine bay. The reason is simple. It's the same unit used in the up-level Mazda 3 and the Mazda 6. Not only does this pump up the performance at the top end, the 153 pounds-feet of torque hauls the 2,700-pound ST off the line with more authority. You know, without question, the single biggest improvement to this Focus is this new 2.3-litre engine and the 150 horsepower it brings. It really does give the car the get up and go it's needed from day one. The sad part is, it only comes with a 5-speed manual and not an automatic.
which is the very transmission that could use the extra power. It also means that anybody that doesn't like to stir their own gears or doesn't want to, I'm afraid you lot are stuck with a base 2-litre engine and it's 136 ponies. The other problem is that the ST is 20 or more horsepower and 1 gear shy of its most obvious competition, the new 170 horse Corolla XRS and the 175 horsepower Nissan Sentra SER Spec V, both of which earn 6-speed manual boxes and are priced at the same $25,000 level. The good news is the braking system. Not only are the rotors 17% larger, which moves fade further down the road, their operation is overseen by a good anti-lock system, which also works in reverse to add a needed traction control system. The Focus ST's sportier overtones continue on the inside, where you get a great set of front bucket seats that are nicely bolstered. The steering wheel is slightly smaller than usual, but it comes with a really nice chunky feel in your hand. The gauges, again, sporty to the eye. You also get a fabulous radio and an effective set of climate controls. And the materials, well, you know, for the most part, they're pretty good until you get to this center console. It's made of the cheapest plastic known to man, and on a rough road, the rattling drives you absolutely crazy. The radio really is worthy of note, as it pumps out 460 watts of peak power through 5 speakers, including an 8-inch subwoofer mounted in the trunk. For $200, there's not a better option to be had. Likewise, the Focus also fares well in the safety department. By monitoring seatbelt usage, driver seat position, and using an occupant detection system for the passenger seat, the airbags optimize their deployment according to crash severity. You can also add side airbags for an additional $500. You know, the ride and handling is significantly better, the interior much nicer, and that new 2.3-litre engine, well, it gives this car the power it's needed from day one. The bottom line, this is the best Focus to date. But therein lies the rub. Had all of the competition remained stationary, this car would have leapfrogged a lot of them. The problem is, the industry standard is changing, and changing very rapidly. As a result, this thing only barely keeps up to that standard.
Our Midas tip of the week concerns reducing the stress on your tires. Front tires are under a lot of stress from cornering the car. Now, we all know how exhilarating it is to corner a car hard at high speed. Feels great to experience those G-forces, but it's hard on your tires. And even in a parking lot, there's a lot of stress on your front tires. Perfect example, we just drove that Audi A6 straight into this spot, and with the vehicle stationary, spun the steering fully to the right and backed it into a spot. Now, spinning the steering wheel without the tires actually in motion, you can see how it dug up this hot asphalt. It's chewed up 2 little contact spots on the asphalt. That's how much pressure there is on those front tires. Now, we all know it's important to maintain your tire pressure and have proper wheel alignment in order to reduce tire wear, but adjusting your driving habits to reduce the amount of times when you're in a parking lot cranking full left or full right or spinning the steering without the vehicle in motion is just as important as avoiding that high-speed cornering to reduce the amount of wear on your front tires. That's your Midas tip of the week.
A reed slim sheath by Maurice Retner, a glitter with hyacinth blue star sequins, fittingly harmonizes in line and color with the Chevrolet Nomad station wagon.
This is the Chevy Nomad. The inspiration for the Nomad was the 1954 Motorama Nomad concept vehicle, which also shared a new sports car platform. In that case, it was the Corvette. In both cases, the concepts challenged the thinking of car-based utilities. The Nomad's design makes it a very strongly identified as a Chevrolet.
The basic feel of the vehicle is a very sporty vehicle. And we've developed it on a sports car platform, so yes, the car has a very, very low aggressive stance. But what we've tried to achieve, and I think we have done it successfully, is create a package that inside it's still airy, it's still very practical, you have a lot of space, very simple design, but that it still has a lot of personality, a lot of character. Using some of the heritage that we've got, you know, within Chevy, within GM, I think it's really putting the real great character back into our cars. We don't have to do it in a retro way. You know, we can use details, we can use feeling, however we want, you know, and it'll be a different usage for different products.
Earlier we saw the Saab 92X driving through the beautiful Laurentians, and seeing is believing, and what you're seeing are 92Xs, and yes, they're on a Ferris wheel.
John Kormeling, a Dutch architect artist, designed this Ferris wheel, and it's actually been in existence for 4 years, traveling around Europe as well as other parts of the world, but this is its first visit here to North America, and we call it mobile fun, and as indicated, a little bit something different, but we think an exciting way to introduce the City of Toronto and potential customers to the new 92X.
Now, Jan Lambering not only operates the wheel, he also built it. And he tells me that back home in Holland, where there's less red tape than here in Toronto, you can actually drive your car onto the wheel and go for a ride. What will they think of next? All right, let's head to the Quaker State Garage and join Bill Gardner.
Brad, got a great email this week from one of our viewers in Whistler, British Columbia. His name's John Holman. He purchased a 95 Ford Taurus SHO used in 1999, and he says since then he's replaced a lot of components on the car, and he spent more than the purchase price of that used car on repairs and service since then. Well, John, welcome to the club. That's not unusual, and if it makes you feel any better, I've bought some pretty inexpensive cars over the years, but I keep them long enough and fix enough things over the period of time that even for me to buy the parts at wholesale and counting my labor as zero, I've still spent way more than the car was worth. I think we've all been in that boat at some stage of the game. One thing that you do want to keep in mind is that this Taurus SHO stands for super high output. That's got an engine that Ford had built by Yamaha, and the super high output engine gave the car lots of power. Those things would go like stink, but anytime you raise the power level of the car, you stress all the components in the powertrain, the brakes, the suspension, everything in that car is under a lot more stress. One of the components that John mentioned replacing was rebuilding the transmission. Living in the mountains in British Columbia, some serious grades, lots of engine power. Eventually you're going to break the tranny. I think that's almost a given, and the car is 9 model years old, so it doesn't surprise me. Now, anytime you buy a more complex powertrain, you are buying into more expensive repairs, whether it's a car or a light truck, especially in light trucks. If you take, for example, a full-size pickup truck, pretty cheap to operate if it's two-wheel drive. If it's four-wheel drive, you've got way more expensive tires and a lot more expensive components in that driveline that can and will wear out over a period of time. So think about that when you purchase the vehicle. Now, if you're living in the mountains, four-wheel drive is really nice to have, but we all know that even a two-wheel drive, be it front wheel or rear wheel, will perform very well in winter conditions if it's got 4 really good winter tires. So keep that in mind. Now, John also asks about labor costs and parts. He wants to know how he can find a trustworthy mechanic because the labor component of his repairs has been so high. Well, John, that doesn't necessarily mean that someone was dishonest with you. It's just a terribly inefficient thing to repair a motor vehicle. When the car is built on the assembly line, one guy does the same job over and over. He gets real fast at it. He can do it in a very short period of time. When you go to repair a vehicle that's all completely assembled and you're dealing with a repair situation, it's terribly time inefficient, and that's why your labor costs are so high. And of course, when you dial in a more complex powertrain, more hours to do these operations. On the parts side, he wants to know about buying OE parts, original equipment parts from Ford versus aftermarket parts from Canadian Tire, Napa, or another jobber for that example. Now, John, I would suggest, and I always try to do this when I'm repairing customers' cars, get a price from the dealer, use that as your benchmark, and also get a price from the aftermarket and compare. Now, traditionally, we always thought the aftermarket parts we'd save money on, and in some cases that's quite true. Depending on which part you're talking about in competition, it may be cheaper. But I just found the other day, for example, I needed a serpentine belt, which is the fan belt for a Ford Taurus, and I phoned the dealer. It was $36, and the aftermarket guys wanted $70 for the same belt. I couldn't believe it. You know where I went? Straight to the Ford dealer. So always check the price against 2 suppliers, and that way you'll get the best deal. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2004.
We got an email from a viewer the other day, and yes, we do read our email, and sometimes we even answer it. And he was concerned about the fact that on some of our road tests, he can see that the car crosses the center line on a curvy stretch of road. Now, we could tell you that we put this banner across it saying, professional driver, closed course, do not attempt at home. We don't do that. We could tell you that we close the road off, we have police officers at either side, and we have this huge budget like the Hollywood movies. We don't do that. But what we do is rely on our own vision and our own judgment. If I'm on a road that has a bit of a bend to it, has a solid line down the middle, but if I can see far enough into the distance to know that it's safe to do so, I'll take a line that's easier on the car, easier on the tires, easier on the brakes, maybe even save a bit of gas, and certainly easier on my passengers than sliding side to side, religiously trying to follow the center line. Because the responsibility for your driving does not rest with the guy who painted the lines 15 or 20 years ago, it rests with you. On the other side of the coin, if I'm on a road and I can see its dotted line indicating that the line painter thought it was safe to pass, I'm not going to do it if I can't see far enough down the road. If I'm in a low-slung sports car, maybe I don't have enough vision to see where I'm going. So the responsibility for safe driving doesn't rest with the guys that paint the lines. It rests with you. I'm Jim Kenzie.
A few final thoughts on the Saab 9-2X. It drives as expected like a Subaru WRX. Great performance, terrific handling. Inside it feels like a GM product. So where's the Saab? Well, there isn't any. And the question is, will this turn off the loyal Saab owners? Well, Dad may not go for it, but you know what? Junior will love it. When Saab says they're looking for a new customer, maybe they found it. That's it for now. We'll see you next time as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
Mini's an exciting brand, and we wanted to capture that. And we wanted to introduce a car that, again, produced a lot of fun, is in the premium segment, and sets the benchmark for safety standards.
TSN's Motoring 2004 has been brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil, oils fine-tuned for different engines, and Midas, Total Car Care. We do that.